everybody, it's Lindy here. Thank you so much for joining me. On today's episode, we are going to be turning an old mirror into a wreath. So let me unpile all of my Dollar Tree fall finds that we'll talk about here in just a minute. But I wanted to show you this mirror that I found at the secondhand store. Now, it was only $5. I loved the frame on the outside edge of it. I'm gonna show it real quick. You'll probably be able to see my camera. So we're going to be using the outside of it as our wreath. And then I was in Dollar Tree and saw adorable ribbon. I love this ribbon, and the green just paired with it nicely. And of course, Dollar Tree is great for foliage, especially when you're putting it on a wreath that's gonna be outside in the elements. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you have an old frame laying around that maybe you don't like anymore, or if you go to your secondhand store and you see a really pretty frame that you like the edge of it, but you don't like what's inside of it. I mean, I liked the mirror, but I thought this would make a really cute frame to my wreath. So all I'm doing is cutting the back off of this. This is brand new for me. I've not done this, so we're going to just kind of learn as we go and see what happens. So I might have to grab some tools to be able to get this mirror out without it breaking. So it looks to me like it is stapled in. I'm gonna see if I can use my scissors to get that out. If not, I'm gonna go grab my pliers. You never know what you're gonna find when you start taking these things apart, which is kind of fun and exciting. Let's see, use a little bit of elbow, some muscle here. All right, almost got it out. You could absolutely just use a frame that you have laying around. I suggest one that maybe has a little bit of design in the wood, because we're gonna paint ours, so I can show you guys what it's going to look like. There we go. So I just popped it right out. Just took a little bit of time. Not much time, really. So there's a staple here. I'll have to get, oh, I don't even have to get my pliers. So isn't the outside of this frame really pretty? I thought that it was interesting looking. Now, if the frame you buy is super beat up, that's okay, because we're gonna paint ours. So I love fall colors. I have this folk art paint. It's antique copper. And all I'm going to do is squirt some on my plate here and brush the edge of this frame. If I don't like how it looks, the great thing about it is it's paint. I can go ahead and paint over it and start over. All right, I got these brushes at Dollar Tree. Love Dollar Tree because they're inexpensive, and I can toss them when I'm done if I want, or I can, of course, wash these. But I'm just putting a light coat over this. Let me put it on one section, and I'll hold it up so you guys can see what it actually looks like. Isn't that pretty? It changes the look of it, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and go around the whole outside edge of this frame and let it dry, and then sort of decide if I wanna change things up. I am in love with how this looks with the bronze. It's going to be so pretty with the fall foliage on it hanging on my door. I am going to hang it at a diagonal. Now, it's totally up to you. If you have a rectangular frame, you might not want to hang it like that. I'm gonna set it to the side, and we're gonna work on the greenery. Now, I love buying greenery at Dollar Tree, like I had told you guys, especially for outdoor or outside decorations, because I don't want to spend a lot of money. It's gonna get sun damaged, wind damage, rain damage, just kind of depending on where you live. I always keep my zip ties handy, as well as some floral wire and some heavy duty scissors. I also like my kitchen scissors. You can use wire cutters as well if you want. So my suggestion is to kind of lay things out how you're going to want it to look before you start attaching it. Now, I want mine to go like this, I'm thinking. So that's the great thing, is I can lay it out without attaching it with hot glue and decide how I like it to look. So I want to start with maybe the bottom pieces first, of course, and build up. So I found this wheat at Dollar Tree. I thought it was really pretty. My dad is a farmer, and so it brought back memories of being on the farm and having wheat fields around our house. Now, I also like pushing up the pieces, the little plastic pieces, just because These are gonna go in the back. So I want as much of the wire as possible without anything on it, because you're not going to see the behind part, okay? So let me get that off. And you can see part of my wheat came off. I can stick it back on. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to use my heavy duty scissors here just to cut it apart. Again, you could totally use wire cutters. I just like my kitchen scissors because I don't have to go to the garage to get the other items that I need. So I'm going to start staggering the wheat. Okay, let's see how many I have. I want it to be pretty symmetrical on the two sides. It doesn't have to be exact, but somewhat the same. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and zip tie it like this, I think. You just have to play around with it. That's the thing when working with greenery, okay? Now, I like using zip ties for a couple reasons. I have a ton of them. The second thing is they're pretty easy to close when you have things in your hand and you don't want to set them down. Well, I'm gonna have to set it down. I can't get it put in there. There we go. Okay, also I can kind of adjust things up and down, slide them up and down as I see fit, whereas with wire, I don't really have the ability to do that. This little guy keeps wanting to fall off, so we're gonna let him go. Okay, here we go. So I have this, don't worry, I'm gonna cut that off later. Okay, let me get another zip tie and get this side going. Again, I'm just sort of stacking them where I think it might look sort of interesting. And if you don't like it, you can just cut the zip tie apart. Whereas with wire, it's a lot more work to get it apart later. Yeah, I think that looks pretty. So I'm gonna lay it on my frame and see how I like that. Let's see. So you see what I'm going for here? So I'm gonna start stacking flowers on top of it, okay? I love the sunflower look, especially for the fall. So I'm going to, let's see, let's get my frame in front of me so I can see it a little bit better. I'm going to add a sunflower. I'm gonna see if I can push that greenery right up against it. Ooh, I love that. And I found these at Dollar Tree. They're kind of like daisies almost, a mix of a daisy and a sunflower. It's called an aster. All right, let's get those cut off. Now only cut if you know you want to use these, okay? Let's see. I do have one more sunflower over here. So that way I'm still symmetrical. And see, sometimes that happens. They just come popping off, but you know what? You just stick it back together. Not a big deal. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to add these. Oh, I like these little flowers. Really, all you're doing is bunching them together. It's not that hard. People, I think, try to overthink it, and then that's when you get into trouble. Now, I thought the white mums might be pretty on here, but I'm not sure. Let's see. I've got, well, if I use this ribbon, it ties in the cream mums. So yeah, let's add a mum. I also have some really pretty leaves and some pumpkins that I might attach as well. Well, wrong scissors. I gotta use these heavy duties, forgot. Okay, there we go. So, oh, I think that's really pretty together. So all I'm gonna do is zip tie it and then just sort of keep messing around with it and adjusting it. I would suggest the little zip ties just because they're easier to hide once you put a bow onto your decoration. Okay, so when I stack that on there, isn't that cute? I love it, just like that. I want it to look just like that and not change. So let me find my some more little ones. I'm just gonna spill these out here because I have a lot of the big ones left because I've used the little ones over the years. Okay. So I'm gonna zip tie it together just like that, and then I'm gonna make something for the other side, and then we'll decide if we put leaves or pumpkins, and then we'll add a bow. And I think I'm definitely using the truck ribbon. So cute, love it. Isn't that cute? Okay, so let's see what we wanna do on this side. We want one mum, and they don't have to be symmetrical. You play around with it and decide what you want yours to look like. It doesn't have to be exactly the same on both sides. Let's see. Super cute, okay? So we're going to zip tie that. Note to self, buy more small zip ties at the store. All I have is these big ones left. Okay. Almost done. There we go. Oh, I love this. Okay, so let me hold it up so you guys can see what I'm envisioning here. Now I will tell you, if you're putting this on a door and the door gets sun, hot glue is not going to hold it, okay? You can use some hot glue to attach it, but also use E6000. So the hot glue, that way it will dry fast with the hot glue, but then the E6000 will help it to stay longer, okay? You can also zip tie around the frame if your bow's big enough, or if you're gonna hide it with pumpkins. So I'm gonna move this and we're gonna lay down some leaves and pumpkins and make our bow and see how we want it all to come together. I went ahead and got my hot glue gun while I was prepping everything. I had seen these at Dollar Tree and they're actually on little clips and I had thought they'd be perfect for this, but now that I'm looking at it with the greenery, I'm thinking that it's just a little bit too shiny, but I have another project in mind for those later on. So I do have these really pretty leaves. They're on wires. They're also from Dollar Tree. They might be a good addition just to stick in there. And with the zip tie, you can usually stick something else in there if you haven't tightened it too much. This one I've tightened too much, but it is wired, so it's perfect because I can just twist it right around and add that to the background. Super cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim off this zip tie and this one down here just so we don't have too much craziness happening. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a leaf to this one after I trim these zip ties. It just gives another texture to it because these are burlap leaves. They're super cute. I couldn't believe Dollar Tree had these. All right, and then I can just sort of bend it to the side as well. Now I do have these pumpkins I might be adding. I have not decided once I get everything on. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay this here on my frame. I love it. It's gonna be like that, I think. I really have to kind of, as I'm going, decide. And let's go ahead and make the bow because then it'll help us really decide where this is going on our frame. Okay. I love ribbon from Dollar Tree because you can find the wired ribbon. Usually they have super cute holiday ribbon and one spool makes an amazing bow, okay? So you're gonna take all of it off. And these spools are, let's see if it says, 9 feet, 3 yards. So it makes one amazing bow. They're really great for Christmas packages to get the Christmas ribbon. All right, so you're going to fold it exactly in half. And wired ribbon makes a prettier bow. So if you're gonna be buying it at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, any of those places, make sure you get wired. You're gonna fold it in half again. In half again. Depending on how big your package is, if you're wrapping a Christmas package, you could stop there. But I'm gonna go ahead and fold it one more time because my frame's not huge, okay? And I'm gonna take one of those zip ties, taking a bigger one, right here in the middle, and I'm going to zip tie this closed. If you wanted long tails, you could pull out these two ends here. Let's leave the tails out so you guys can see. So I have a little flap happening right now, okay? All right, so I'm gonna pull my tails down and we'll trim those off later, that way they're pretty, okay? And make sure, obviously, that the ribbon is facing the correct direction too. So all you're going to do is start fluffing, okay? Opening, pulling them apart, and fluff. Really fancy word there. And if you don't like it, cut that zip tie and do it again, because I'm looking right now and I may want bigger loops. But that's the great thing about zip ties, like I told you guys, you can just cut them off and start again. Yep, I'm thinking this is just gonna be too tight of a bow. So that's part of crafting. just cut it right off and do it again, okay? So I'll do one less. All right, so I did it in half. That pumpkin's trying to run away from me here. Okay. And I had folded it one more time than this. I'm gonna go ahead and stop there this time. Let me find a zip tie. Okay, I think this might be a little bit better for this size of frame. So I'm gonna pull my tails down, okay? And then I'm gonna start pulling my loops out, and I'm gonna give you guys a little trick, okay? These loops are big. I know they're big. They're way too big for this, but I have a trick. It's better to have big loops than little loops, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so I want it as open as possible. I have my tails down. If you don't like your tails, you can cut them off. Let me cut off that zip tie, trim it. Don't worry, we're gonna hide it, okay? And I'm just opening it up as much as possible, pulling it at that center. Okay, so now it's kind of a cattywampus bow, but what we're gonna do is fix it up now. So some of them we're gonna take right from the center and bend your wire in half, and it makes a double loop without actually making a real double loop, okay? You want some of them in the back, probably still big, so you can see and decide what you want to do. So I'm going to bend them in and see what I want to do, and then I can always change it from there. You can put a little dot of hot glue if you need to. Depending on if your ribbon's staying or not. And also, if it's an indoor decoration, you probably don't need any glue to hold it, whereas if it's outside, you might want some glue. There we go. Oh, that's so much cuter. So here I have my really cute bow. I'm not sure about the tails right now. I'm gonna put some little dots of hot glue just to help hold pieces of this bow in. There we go. And I'm just gonna fluff as I go, okay? There's so many different ways that you can make bows. Find the one that works for you. I like this one because I have a lot of, it's very lenient on what I do, and I'm not stuck with one look. Okay, let's see, I've got some big loops up here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tails at an angle. Always cut your ribbon at an angle and at opposing angles, all right? Now, the rest of the bow, I'm gonna decide once I get it all on, how I want it to look, okay? So now I have to decide how I'm attaching everything. Do I want it like this, which I think is really cute? I could hang it straight. I don't have to hang it on an angle, which might be better. Actually, I think that is better. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach it like this. So I'm actually gonna use a zip tie because my bow is pretty big. So you're gonna need a big zip tie. And this one's not long enough, so let me show you what you do. So you take two big zip ties, stick this in here, part of the way. Oh, there we go, till it catches, and then you have a long zip tie, and then you can just trim it off. Sometimes it's easier to put the zip tie underneath, depending on what you're doing. Now, I am gonna put a dot of hot glue just so it stays. Again, you can use E6000 as well. Put some hot glue behind the greenery. My door does not get direct sunlight in the afternoon, so I don't have to worry about that quite so much. Okay, so I put some hot glue behind it and a zip tie. Now I'm gonna put this one on the other side here. So I'm gonna have to double my zip ties again. Find two long ones. Almost done here, guys. All right, put it behind. So you can see as the project has evolved, I've kind of changed my idea depending on how things are working. So with crafting, don't get stuck on one idea and then be disappointed if it doesn't work, because sometimes things don't work correctly. Isn't that cute? So I'm going to put some hot glue behind the stems of this one. Okay. All right, now let's add the bow and we'll decide what we're gonna do with it. And then we can tack it down. Let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna add my hot glue here on the corner where my bow's gonna go, and I'm being very generous with it. And again, if you're using E6000, still use that hot glue because it'll help it dry quickly. Find the center of the bow and hold it down until it attaches. Right now would be the time to add this E6000 as well. Okay. And I do have these little pumpkins, and I was trying to decide if I wanted to attach them because the truck ribbon has pumpkins with it, and I think that I do. I think I want to add a couple little pumpkins tucked in to the ribbon, which I think would be cute. These are from Dollar Tree. They have a wire in them already. I think these are from Dollar Tree. They don't have a wire, but you can pull the wire out of these and just glue them in as well. So I'm just going to add a couple in here and see how I like them. You can always take them out if you don't like how it looks. And the pumpkins work great for hiding any of those stems and that sort of thing too. If I'm adding accessories like this, I try to add an odd number. That's kind of a little decorating tip. So I'm gonna have 3 pumpkins total, or 5, depending on what I think of it, okay? Almost done. Holding this, just pulling off some of those spider webs. Okay, I think that's super cute. I am gonna add 2 more small pumpkins just to give it a little bit more. And then I just need to fluff that bow up a bit, and we're ready to go and put it on our door for fall. So exciting. So let's see, I think I'm trying to decide where I want it. Sometimes it's better to hold it up like this too, so you can see what it really looks like as they would see it as they're coming to up to your door. So I'm gonna put this one over here, I think. And I'm actually gonna pull the wire out of that little guy there, just to make it a little easier to get him stuck to the ribbon. All right, and let's find a place for 1 more pumpkin. I think it needs to go up here. Yep, that'll be perfect right here. Okay, gonna take the wire off that, and we're almost good to go. I cannot wait to see your creations like this. I mean, you could do this for any holiday. It doesn't even have to be holiday related, but go to those secondhand stores and find pretty frames that you can bring new life to it. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified every time that we upload a new video.